Derecho Campus Vive. Un programa que nos comparte el conocimiento jurídico desde un punto de vista diferente. Información, entrevistas, invitados especiales. Derecho Campus Vive a través de UMNG Radio y sus redes sociales.
¿Qué tal amigos? Les saluda Armando Plata con una invitación muy especial para que me escuchen ahora todos los viernes a las 5 de la tarde en mi programa Global Hits. Una hora con las canciones más populares en diferentes regiones del mundo para que vivas completamente al día en música. Todos los viernes a las 5 de la tarde aquí en la radio de la Universidad Militar Nueva Granada. No te lo pierdas, escúchalo y colecciónalo.
Desde la Universidad Militar Nueva Granada, en Bogotá, Colombia, transmite UMNG Radio. UMNG Radio. Una emisora alternativa, cultural e independiente. Desde la Universidad Militar Nueva Granada. Esta es UMNG Radio.
Tune in and speak up. Hello English learners. Want to learn something interesting whilst having fun? Welcome to Tune In and Speak Up, the podcast where you'll get to know this beautiful language in depth. Each week, we'll dive into exciting topics, share practical tips, and tell you fascinating English language stories. So whether you're studying, going to work, or just relaxing, connect, listen, and let's make English part of your world. Wherever you are, whenever you want, just hit play, tune in and listen up. Tune in to UMNG Radio every Tuesday from 11 a.m. till noon. Don't just learn English, live it.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Tune In and Speak Up, the podcast from Universidad Militar Nueva Granada, where we explore curious stories, surprising facts, and cultural insights from around the world, all through the lens of English learning. My name is Jorge Bermúdez. I'm a teacher of English at the Department of Multicultural Studies at UMNG, part of the School of Education and Humanities. I'll be your guide through some of the most unusual and thought-provoking topics, from the invention of the yo-yo to forgotten inventions and strange scientific discoveries. Whether you're learning English as a second language or just love learning something new, this podcast is for you. Ready to improve your listening skills, expand your vocabulary, and engage in meaningful conversations? Then grab your headphones, tune in, and let's speak up. Today, we're going to dive deep into something you might not have thought about in years. A little object, often plastic, sometimes made of wood, with a string and two spinning discs. It fits in your pocket. It goes up and down. It's simple. Or is it? Yes, we're talking about the yo-yo. Now, I know what you're thinking. The yo-yo, that's just a toy, right? Well, get ready to be surprised because behind that cheerful little plaything lies a fascinating history filled with warriors, royalty, and even international patents. In this episode, we'll explore the yo-yo's ancient origin as a tool of survival and battle, how it traveled across cultures from Greece to the Philippines to the United States, and how it became a symbol of ingenuity, fun, and even modern marketing. Okay, let's go to the ancient origins. Take a look at these two pictures that we have here. This is the beginning, so we're going to begin at the beginning. And by the beginning, I mean really, really the beginning. When we think of toys, we usually imagine something modern, plastic, colorful, maybe battery powered. But sometimes some toys have been around far longer than we realize. One of those is the yo-yo. The earliest known reference to a yo-yo-like object go back more than 2,500 years ago to the time of ancient Greece. Yes, Greece, the birthplace of democracy, philosophy, and theater, and possibly the yo-yo. Archaeologists have unearthed terracotta disc as the one we have in the picture. Christian, let's expand this, please. Okay, so to the left we have one example of this terracotta disc in a museum. It's flat, round piece of clay, which appeared to be early version of a yo-yo. These artifacts have small holes in the center, suggesting they were designed to spin on a string. They date from around 500 BCE, that's before our era. And one example even has artwork painted showing a young boy playing with the object. To the right, we have the painting of a little boy playing with something that looks like a yo-yo. Obviously, the scientists have been and archaeologists have been discussing if this was really the yo-yo that we know that goes up and down, or it was just something similar, some kind of toy just that the boys would hold in a string. But anyway, it's something very similar. This shows us that the yo-yo wasn't just a random invention. It was intentionally crafted for use by children. But here's the big question. Why would people in ancient times make spinning toys? Was it only for fun? Some historians think the answer is deeper. In Greek society, toys had symbolic meaning. Childhood wasn't just a stage of life. It was a stage marked by rituals. When a child transitioned into adulthood, they would sacrifice or dedicate their childhood toys at a temple as a rite of passage. The idea was to leave behind play and step into adult responsibilities. A yo-yo, then, may have been more than amusement. It was also a marker of growing up, a tool for identity, and even a gift to the gods. Okay, let's move across space and time, several centuries forward and thousands of kilometers away, going east to China and India, two of the world's oldest and richest civilizations. Both cultures had traditions involving spinning or rotating toys, often made of wood, bamboo, or bone. Some of these toys were similar in concept to the yo-yo. They used gravity and tension to create movement. Whether these designs were directly related to the Greek yo-yo is hard to prove. It's possible the idea traveled along ancient trade routes like the Silk Road, which connected Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. But it's also likely that different cultures developed similar ideas independently, inspired by the natural joy of watching something spin, drop, and return. In other words, the yo-yo may not be the product of one culture. It may be part of a universal human fascination with motion. But the story gets even more fascinating when we look to Southeast Asia and in particular the Philippines. Okay, here in the Philippines, the yo-yo takes on an entirely new and dangerous role because in the Philippines, the yo-yo wasn't just a toy, it was a weapon. Yes, a real weapon used in hunting and possibly even combat. Filipino hunters developed a tool that looked and behaved like a yo-yo, but on a much larger and deadlier scale. These early weapons were made of dense wood, or sharpened metal attached to long, strong cords. They were designed to be thrown at animals from a distance. The weight and speed of the spinning object could wound, trap, or even kill prey. And because of the cord, the weapon could be retrieved quickly and reused. A very efficient design in a time before modern tools. It's even said that Filipino warriors used large yo-yo-like devices in battle to entangle enemies or pull down shields. Whether all of these stories are true is still debatable, but the idea of a yo-yo being used as a weapon is supported by historical accounts and oral tradition. Let's watch a little bit of a movie, a James Bond movie. In this movie, where we can see how this weapon was used. Mr. Bond is about to make one of his moves, and then he's attacked by one of these yo-yos. Look, take a look. Oh. And the attack goes on and on. The yo-yo is used again here. Look, it has a blade, a sharp blade, but well, you know, Mr. Bond is well trained in all kinds of fighting. The yo-yo appears once again. Here we go. Okay. Oh, he's brave enough to grab the cord and pull down the attacker. Okay, that's to give you an idea of what these weapons may have looked like. Okay, so let's talk about the word yo-yo, the name. This name comes from Tagalog, one of the main languages of the Philippines. In Tagalog, yo-yo means come, a phrase that describes the toy's motion. You throw it down, it returns to your hand. That concept of return, of movement and control is central to what makes the yo-yo so interesting and so different from other toys. So the next time you see a kid doing a yo-yo trick like walk the dog, remember that trick, or rock the cradle, remember, that simple up and down movement once meant survival, not just fun. And what looks like a light-hearted game today has centuries of history behind it, from the temples of Athens to the jungles of the Philippines to wherever you happen to be listening right now. Okay, let's talk about the global spread and transformation. Here in these pictures, we have different moments in Europe where yo-yo was used. The yo-yo's journey from weapon to toy and from east to west is full of unexpected twists and turns. Just like the toy itself, its history goes in circles, only to come back around in surprising ways. Let's rewind to the 18th century, a time of powered wigs, ornate fashions, and royal courts. It's in Europe that the yo-yo began to transform into the familiar toy we know today. In France, the yo-yo was called a bandalore, and it became particularly popular among the aristocracy, the wealthy noble class. It wasn't just a plaything for children. Instead, it was a fashionable pastime for both men and women, especially among the young elite. Paintings from the time, as we can see here in the picture, yes, very good. Paintings from the time show elegant figures dressed in fine clothing, gracefully manipulating these spinning objects. They were small, sophisticated, and even elegant. A toy, yes, but also a social accessory. In a way, the yo-yo was becoming part of the performance of being refined and modern. Around the time of the French Revolution in the late 1700s, the toy earned another name, Joujou de Normandie, or Normandy toy. The word Joujou, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, my French is zero, means toy in French, which is actually where the English word yo-yo may have found an indirect echo. Some sources claim that as political tensions rose in France, nobles used the yo-yo or bandolore as a stress relief device, much like some of us squeeze stress balls or click pens today. Soon, okay, let's talk about the Pedro Flores. Yes. Soon the yo-yo crossed the English Channel and found a home in Britain. By the early 19th century, the toy was known in England as a bandolore and also amusingly as a quiz, a name that has since evolved to mean something completely different. If you take a class and you get a quiz, you know that the meaning is completely different. British children and adults alike enjoyed playing with it, and it became part of the broader culture of recreational games that were growing popular during the Industrial Revolution. But the biggest turning point in the yo yo history, the moment that would define its future as a modern toy, came in the early 20th century thanks to one visionary, Pedro Flores, in the picture. Flores was a Filipino immigrant to the United States. Born in the Philippines, where yo-yos had long been a part of local tradition and even weaponry, as we just saw. He brought both the idea and the name of the yo-yo to the American public. In 1928, he opened the first yo-yo manufacturing company in Santa Barbara, California, crafting toys by hand from wood. He didn't invent the yo-yo, but he revolutionized it and gave it a brand new audience. For the first time, the word yo-yo entered American English directly from Tagalog, the national language of the Philippines. Flores embraced the name, meaning come, as a perfect description of the toy's action. It goes away and comes back. American children were instantly fascinated. But even more important than the name was the innovation Flores introduced in the toy's design. Traditionally, the string of a yo-yo was tied tightly around the axle, which limited how the toy moved. Flores introduced a small but powerful change. Instead of tying the string, he created a loop that let the axle spin freely. This allowed for longer spins, called sleepers, and made complex tricks possible, such as around the world, rock the cradle, and the Eiffel Tower. If you're wondering why this name, Pedro Flores, sounds, and it is actually Spanish, is because the Philippines were a Spanish colony of Spain, well, a Spanish colony for a long time. And many people in the Philippines actually speak one version of Spanish today. Okay, let's take a look at the next step. And then came Donald Duncan, an American businessman with a sharp eye for opportunity. Duncan recognized the yo-yo's potential, not just as a toy, but as a cultural phenomenon. He bought the rights to both Flores' design and the name yo-yo. With this new foundation, he built an empire. Duncan was a master of marketing. He launched nationwide yo-yo competitions, sending professional demonstrators, skilled performers who could do incredible tricks, to schools, parks, and community centers all across the United States. These live performances mesmerized children who quickly ran home to beg their parents for yo-yos so they could learn the tricks themselves. Suddenly, the yo-yo wasn't just something you played with, it was something you trained for. By the 1940s and 1950s, the yo-yo had become a true American obsession. Duncan's slogan, as we can see in the picture on the top left, "If it isn't a Duncan, it isn't a yo-yo," was printed on packaging, in ads, and even on the toy themselves. The yo-yo became more than a fad. It became an icon of post-war American childhood. As time went on, yo-yos continued to evolve with new materials and new ideas. In the 1960s, manufacturers began using plastic, which made yo-yos cheaper, more colorful, and easier to mass produce. In the 1980s, glow-in-the-dark yo-yos, like the ones we have down left, in the down left corner, we have a glow-in-the-dark yo-yo, and light-up models on the top right, we have yo-yos with lights using batteries. Of course, these new models hit the market in the 1980s, capturing the imagination of a new generation. And by the 1990s and 2000s, the technology had advanced even further. Innovations like ball bearings, transaxles, and weighted rims allowed for professional level freestyling, intricate high-speed tricks that turned yo-yoing into a form of performance art. Today, the yo-yo isn't just a toy. It's a sport, a subculture, and for some, even a career. But it all started with a Filipino immigrant who saw potential in a toy from his childhood, and with a spinning disc that crossed oceans, languages, and generations. Okay, let's take a look at the yo-yos today. Yeah, right there. So what's the status of the yo-yo today? You might think of it as a retro toy, something from your parents' or your grandparents' generation. A simple plastic thing that you play with for a few minutes, got tangled in your pocket, and forgot. But the truth is, the yo-yo is far from forgotten. In fact, it's had several comebacks in recent decades, and it's currently enjoying one of its most exciting eras ever, thanks to the rise of social media, online communities, and a growing interest in creative performance arts. Today, the yo-yo world is more vibrant, diverse, and connected than ever before. There is now a global scene of yo-yo enthusiasts that includes professional players, design engineers, inventors, content creators, and fans of all ages. These people don't just play with yo-yos. They train, compete, innovate, and even make a living from their passion. Here in the picture, we can see this is advertising for the World Yo-Yo Contest. This year, August 7 to 10th, it finished 2 days ago in Prague, in the Czech Republic. And then we have the different categories, 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A, to indicate the different categories of tricks. Single yo-yo string tricks, like the basic ones, 2 yo-yos, looping tricks, 2 yo-yos, string tricks with both hands, etc., etc., etc. And counterweight yo-yo, number 5A, which is the most difficult, the counterweight yo-yo, where you have something extra attached to the yo-yo and they move in incredible ways. You can find all these tricks online. Okay, now take a look at this. Let's watch Christian, please. Video, yes, a little bit of This is the 2023 World Yo-Yo Contest final. One of the participants, let's take a look a little bit of the kind of tricks they make. Take a look at this. If it doesn't look like anything you used to do with your JoJo's, don't worry. These kids are real professionals, okay? As you can see, they can go incredibly fast. I don't even know how to explain what's going on there. Incredible, right, Christian? Yes, it's amazing. Did you used to play with a yo-yo, Christian?
Yes.
Did you have a yo-yo?
I don't have the ability.
You could make a living out of playing the yo-yo. Wow, take a look at this. Obviously, the yo-yos are incredibly well made. We're going to be talking about that in a minute. Okay. Let's see. At the heart of this modern yo-yo movement is the World Yo-Yo Contest, the one we were looking at in the contest. This is held annually and hosted in different countries around the globe. This event is considered the Olympics of yo-yoing. Competitors travel from Japan, the US, the Philippines, Europe, and all the countries basically to showcase their best tricks on stage. The contest is divided into multiple divisions, each focusing on a different style of play. As we mentioned before, single yo-yos, two yo-yos, yo-yos with both hands, etc., etc., etc. Each division challenges players to push the limits of creativity, timing, technical mastery, and visual performance. The tricks can be incredibly fast, complex, and even artistic, like watching a dancer, juggler, and a magician combined into one. Real athletes. But it's not just about in-person competitions anymore. The digital era has transformed the way people discover, learn, and share yo-yo tricks. Today, many top-level yo-yo players have large followers on YouTube, a large number, of followers on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and even Twitch. They post everything from slow motion trick tutorials to mind blowing freestyle performances set to music, as we were watching. Some players have become influencers, attracting sponsorships from yo yo brands, toy companies, and even tech companies. These online platforms have helped make yo yoing cool again, especially among young people who are drawn to niche hobbies and personalized skills. What's fueling this resurgence in part is how far the technology behind the yo-yo has evolved. Let's take a look at this. Mechanical engineering, aerodynamics, and performance art. Look at these beautiful yo-yos, Christian. They are not the old Coca-Cola yo-yos, no. Modern yo-yos are not made of cheap plastic or carved wood. They're built using precision machined aluminum and stainless steel, often using CNC, computer numerical control, machines with this control to ensure perfect balance and symmetry. These materials allow for extremely smooth spins, long sleep times, and responsive or unresponsive play, depending on the skill level. Many yo-yos today also use ball bearings in the axle, which reduce friction and allow the yo-yo to spin for 30 seconds, a minute, or even longer, without returning. Add-ons like silicone response pads, rim-weighted bodies, and custom string materials all help tailor the yo-yo's performance to each user's preferences. In short, this isn't child's play anymore. It's a mix of mechanical engineering, aerodynamics, and performance art. But the yo-yo isn't just spinning its way into sports and entertainment. It has also found a meaningful place in science and education. Let's take a look at this picture. One of the most famous moments in yo-yo history happened in 1985 when astronaut David Griggs took a yo-yo aboard the space shuttle Discovery. NASA scientists used it to explore a basic but fascinating question. How does a yo-yo behave in microgravity? The results were eye-opening. Without gravity, the traditional drop and return motion doesn't happen the same way. Instead, the yo-yo relies on angular momentum, and when there's no gravity to pull it downward, the toy behaves in unexpected ways. It floats, wobbles, and moves in slow arcs. Imagine playing yo-yo in space, huh? NASA wasn't just having fun. They were learning about rotational physics and motion dynamics in space. The yo-yo became a kind of miniature experiment, a simple tool for studying complex principles. Let's take a look at the next slide. And back here on Earth, teachers have long used yo-yos in classrooms as a way to demonstrate physics concepts like, as we can see in the picture, tension and force, kinetic and potential energy, rotational motion, friction, and inertia. Students can literally see physics in action when a yo-yo spins, drops, and climbs. It makes science hands-on, memorable, and surprisingly fun. Okay, so if you're into physics, a yo-yo may be the experiment or the tool to use. The yo-yo has also become a tool for developing fine motor skills. Look at this. Patience and focus, making it useful in therapy and occupational rehabilitation programs. In some schools, learning to yo-yo is even used as part of mindfulness or concentration training. So what started as a weapon became a toy, transformed into performance art, and entered the realm of science and education. It continues to evolve, and it's still spinning forward. Now it can be used as a therapy. Yo-yoing is my therapy. Who knows what the next chapter of the yo-yo story will look like? Maybe it will involve smart yo-yos with sensors and Bluetooth connectivity. Maybe we'll see yo-yos used in virtual reality training, robotics, education, or competitive e-sports. Maybe you'll be the one to invent the next big trick, or even the next evolution of the yo-yo itself. But one thing is certain. As long as people love to learn, play, and create, the yo-yo will keep coming back. Let's take a look at the next slide. Vocabulary and language tip. Okay, let's take a short break to review some interesting vocabulary and expressions from today's story. If some of these were new to you, well, that's great. Learning words in context helps you remember them better and use them more naturally in your own conversations. Let's take a look at these vocabulary highlights. Spinning. This word refers to something turning around rapidly in a circular motion. Think of a yo-yo going down the string and then returning. We can use this in a sentence. For example, the dancer was spinning so fast it made the audience dizzy. Also, you can think the DJs at parties spin records. Okay, the next one, cross-cultural. This describes something that exists or is shared among multiple cultures. In our episode, the yo-yo appears in both ancient Greece and the Philippines, making it a cross-cultural object. You can use this in a sentence. For example, the film explores cross-cultural friendships between students from different countries. Okay, the next phrase, stress relief. This is anything, whatever, that helps reduce stress, tension, or anxiety. Yo-yoing can be calming, like meditation or coloring mandalas. For example, many people use mandalas and pencils and color pencils. You can say this in a sentence. For example, for some people, music is a great form of stress relief. The next one, performance tool. A tool used to perform or entertain. In competitions, the yo-yo becomes a performance tool, much like a magician's deck of cards or a dancer's fan. You can use this in a sentence. For example, the skateboard was more than just a toy. It was a performance tool in his show. Okay, the next word that we use today, microgravity. This refers to the almost weightless conditions found in space where gravity is very weak. Astronauts experience microgravity while orbiting Earth. You can use this in a sentence. For example, you can say, in microgravity, water floats in bubbles instead of falling. Okay, the next one, the next phrase, precision machined. This describes objects made using very accurate cutting tools, often controlled by computers. Many modern yo-yos are precision machined to perform complex tricks. You can use this in a sentence. You can say, for example, the watch, right here, the watch's gears were precision machined for perfect movement. And the last one, angular momentum, when we talk about the physics involved in playing with the yo-yo. A physics term referring to how spinning objects stay in motion unless something slows them down. It explains why a yo-yo keeps spinning once released. You can use this in a sentence. For example, you can say ice skaters use angular momentum when they spin faster by pulling their arms in. Okay, let's talk about some common expressions that we use today and that are related to this topic. Let's also explore two English expressions we use in today's episode. These are great for everyday conversations, and even better when you understand their double meanings. The first one is strings attached. Usually, this idiomatic expression means there's a hidden condition, rule, or limitation behind an offer. So that means that if you get offered something extremely good, something that is too good to be true, it means that some strings are attached. And as you can see in the picture, you can end up being controlled like a puppet, right? So if something has no strings attached, it means that it's a clear, valid, and honest offer. Okay, let's use this in an example. Look at this sentence. The company offered a free month of service, but there were strings attached. That means that no, it's not a real honest offer. In our episode, this phrase also connects to the literal string on a yo-yo. That's like a joke, right? When a phrase has more than one meaning or plays with words that sound alike. Our today's episode is called Strings Attached because the yo-yo indeed has a string. The next expression, not just child's play, means something that may look simple or childish at first, but is actually serious, complex, or impressive. In this case, modern yo-yo competitions show that yo-yos are not just child's play. You can use this in a sentence. For example, you can say, cooking for 100 people is not just child's play. It takes real skill. Okay, to make these new words and expressions stay in your mind, try different strategies. For example, say them out loud in a sentence that relates to your own life. You can say, playing guitar is my stress relief after work. So I ask you, what's your stress relief? And you answer to yourself, playing guitar, drinking coffee is my stress relief after work. Christian, what's your stress relief activity?
Drink coffee.
Okay,
It's
coffee. Stress relief activity. Okay, very good. You can write some sentences or you can write a short paragraph using the words that we had today. Yes, for example, I have this. In my science class, we studied angular momentum using spinning tops. It was fun and a great stress relief. Like all of these combined, right? Okay, also, suggestion number 3, teach someone else the words you learn. Teaching is a powerful way to remember. Also, remember that word learning isn't about memorizing lists. It's about connecting words to stories, emotions, and real experiences. So, if you remember microgravity from a yo yo in space or strings attached from our title, you're learning naturally and meaningfully. So, remember, if there are no strings attached, it's an honest, valid opportunity. Okay, so our final thoughts. One question: who knew the humble Jojo had such an extraordinary story? From the temples of ancient Greece to the jungles of the Philippines, from elegant French salons to the hands of astronauts floating in space, the yo-yo has been much more than just a toy. It's been a weapon, a symbol, a science experiment, and a source of joy for people of all ages around the world. What makes the yo-yo so fascinating and so enduring, so lasting throughout time, is its simplicity combined with endless potential. It proves that with just a little imagination, even the smallest object can have a huge impact. Thanks for joining us today on this spin through time. Thank you for being here, the podcast from Nueva Granada Military University. Don't forget to share this with your classmates, friends, or fellow English learners. As we explained last week, this season will continue exploring unusual but meaningful topics that to show, yes, how language, history, and everyday life are deeply connected. If today's episode helped you learn something new or gave you a new perspective on culture and communication, then our mission is complete. If you would like to share your thoughts, reflections, or give us feedback, we'd love to hear from you. Your ideas help us improve, and your voice helps shape future episodes. This podcast is for learners like you, curious, committed, and ready to take the next step. We'll be back next week with another topic that might surprise you, like the story of the yo-yo. It may make you think or spark a conversation in English. In the meantime, keep listening, keep practicing, and most of all, keep speaking up. Until next time, don't forget that the inspiration for this episode comes from www.itotd.com. Interesting thing of the day, where you can find thousands of incredible and surprising stories about artifacts, events, people, etc. Christian, thank you very much. See you next week.
Tune in and speak up. Hello, English learners. Want to learn something interesting whilst having fun? Welcome to Tune In and Speak Up, the podcast where you'll get to know this beautiful language in depth. Each week, we'll dive into exciting topics, share practical tips, and tell you fascinating English language stories. So whether you're studying, going to work, or just relaxing, connect, listen, and let's make English part of your world. Wherever you are, whenever you want, just hit play, tune in and listen up. Tune in to U Ime Inehe Radio every Tuesday from 11 a.m. till noon. Don't just learn English, live it.